The DNSimple API gives you programmatic control over your entire DNS and domain infrastructure, from creating and updating records to registering domains and provisioning SSL certificates. The DNSimple Sandbox is a fully isolated environment that mirrors production exactly, letting you build, break, and iterate on your API integrations without affecting real data. In this video, I will show you how to provision a token and query the DNSimple API in the Sandbox. Start by creating or logging into your Sandbox account. Navigate to User Settings in the dropdown. Select Access Tokens on the left, and then click the blue Add button. Name your token, and then provision the access parameters. Here's where you can control if a token can access or modify parts of your account. Since we are testing things out, I went ahead and gave my token full access. For the certificates, domains, registrar, and zones parameters, you will need to select which zones the token has access to. In my case, I will give it access to all of the zones, including future ones in this account. When you're finished with that, click on Generate Token, and the UI will show you your secret. Copy it and keep it somewhere safe. Be careful never to share your account secrets, as they can be exploited by malicious parties. Once you have your token, you can import it into your environment via environment variables, a .env file, or through a secrets manager. Note that the code examples going forwards are shown using Python, but DNSimple also has API clients in Ruby, Go, Elixir, Node.js, .NET, Java, PHP, Python, and Rust. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Even with the best tools, there are traps that catch developers. Pitfall 1. Testing against production. You're eager to see results, so you test your integration directly against production. One bug in your code, and suddenly production DNS records are deleted. This is the fastest way to turn a good day into a crisis. Make it a rule. If you haven't tested it in the Sandbox, it doesn't go to production. Use environment variables to control which API endpoint your code uses. Imagine you do find the script has a bug, but when you start testing the script, you hit a rate limit and you can't work anymore. With the Sandbox, the rate limits are separate, and the testing doesn't consume your API quota. Keep in mind though, your configuration in the Sandbox will not actually resolve. In this example, you can use the OS library to import your environment variable for your token, then use that to fetch the Sandbox endpoint. Pitfall 2. Ignoring pagination. After a ton of time programming, you finally get your code to fetch records for a domain and process them. In the Sandbox, you test with 10 records and think that everything is looking good, so you decide to push to production. You have hundreds of records in live production, but you're only seeing the first few dozen. Your app only works with these first few because your app doesn't handle pagination. The API returns metadata about the total pages and the current position. So to make sure that all records get processed, iterate through all of the pages and grab records from each one. Pitfall 3. Not using webhooks. Say you wanted to check if a domain registration is complete. Using the API, you submit a domain for registration and set the API to check every 30 seconds if the registration is complete. While it works, you're putting unnecessary load on your server, wasting API calls, and delaying your response times. Instead, implement webhooks into your application. DNSimple sends HTTP post to your endpoint when events like if a domain is registered, a certificate is issued, or a DNS record was updated. By listening for the webhook, your system can instantly react without polling continuously. Here's a bare bones approach using Flask to make a web server that checks if the event was a domain registration, and then immediately reacts by provisioning the DNS records that are needed for that domain. Now that you have an idea of what to avoid, let's look at practical examples using the Python SDK. These patterns work whether you're managing DNS for web design clients or building an automated SaaS platform. Example 1. Bulk DNS record creation for new client sites. This example shows how you would handle onboarding a new client with a standard set of records. A records for the web server, MX records for email, and TXT records for SPF and DKIM. Using the Batch Records API endpoint, you can quickly automate a task that used to take 20 minutes of clicking to a few seconds of automatic work. Example 2. Automated DNS updates during deployments. Imagine your application needs to update an A record every time you deploy a new version to a different server's IP. Using the API in this example allows you to integrate DNS into your CI/CD pipeline. With code logic calling this function, you can check for the existing A record, then update the record with the new IP address. If there isn't one, then a new one can be created. Example 3. Domain availability checks for customer-facing tools. Imagine using DNSimple's API to build a platform where customers can register domains in your interface. In order to check if their desired domain is available, you use the API to quickly return the domain check and show your client if the domain is available or not. With this function, you can check with the registrar and verify the pricing of the domain. These examples just scratch the surface. The API can handle zone management, domain transfers, contact updates, SSL certificate provisioning, DNSSEC configuration, and more that are testable in the sandbox first. For domain operators, you can onboard new clients in minutes with bulk DNS provisioning. You can offer faster turnaround times than competitors who are stuck clicking through interfaces, and build your own client portal that integrates DNS management seamlessly into your workflow. For tech companies, you can embed domain and DNS management directly into your product. Scale from 10 to 10,000 domains while providing a seamless customer experience. Companies like ClickFunnels, the Linux Foundation, and Unsplash rely on DNSimple's API for exactly these reasons. Ready to automate your domain and DNS management? Start with a free Sandbox account to test your integration risk-free. When you're ready to go live, sign up for a production account and get your first 30 days free, or contact sales to make a custom plan for your needs.